Parashat Pikudei. Imagine for a moment you know nothing about the Torah, and all you're told is we've finally reached the final section of Book 2. So you think, okay, well, where are humanity holding by the end of this book of the Torah? At the very beginning, we learn of their creation. All of a sudden, Adam and Eve are messing around. Cain kills Hevel. Then the world goes completely crazy and there's a flood. Eventually, we pick on one man, one family, and from him, the role models will come to build humanity afresh. We end up in Egypt. There's a despotic king. There are slaves. Things go wrong. Jew fighting Jew. Egyptian fighting Jew. One person emerges and eventually gets the slaves out, and they're God's people, but they're struggling with Hashem. One minute they love him. Next minute they think he's trying to kill them in the desert. There's no water. There's no food. Where are we at the end of Pikudei? Oh, I forgot to mention. They built a golden calf and almost damaged the relationship completely. But the Mishkan is about to go into active service. Right at the end of the chapter, the book of the Shemot, the cloud comes down. Hashem's presence is back. There's a visual demonstration that the relationship is strong. But where are individual people in this story? There's a really shocking perspective found in the Yerushalmi, in the Jerusalem Talmud. The Torah tells us that the nation would stare and watch Moshe as he walked. And you would imagine that one interpretation would be simply they wanted to see a tzaddik. They wanted to see how he conducted himself. They were inspired by Moshe. He was radiant, luminous. This was the person who spoke face to face with Hashem, received the Torah directly, was able to manage conversing with Hashem whenever Hashem wanted to speak to him. That's one school of thought, and that makes sense. And that really tells us the journey from the creation of Adam and Eve, from let's make man, Tselem Elokim, image of Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu is that individual. That would be lovely. But there's another opinion in the Jerusalem Talmud. The people looked at Moshe. There's, he looks a bit fatter than usual. He looks a bit broader. He must be eating our food, and maybe he stole the money. Absolutely awful. He stole the money from the Mishkan. We're not talking about a random person. It's about Moshe Rabbeinu, who davened that he should be wiped out if the Jewish people were destroyed by Hashem, the one who gave his life for the nation. And there were those who accused him of stealing. Eile Pekudei, these are the accounts. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu have to make an exact accounting of all the materials that came in and all those that were used and how everything was put together? Because there were those who accused him. Now, I'm going to give you one interpretation, but feel free to get in touch if you think there are others that will help you to explain how could people accuse Moshe Rabbeinu. Where does that come from? It sounds ludicrous. If one man is above suspicion, it should be Moshe. Which teaches us one really interesting lesson. We must always judge others favorably. We're good at learning that one. Danet kol hadam lekav zechut, judge people favorably. But at the same time, we always must act without causing others to suspect us of wrongdoing. So there's two obligations. We must judge others favorably, but we must also act in a way that doesn't cause suspicion. That's one lesson. The other lesson I want to share is this. Jealousy. They were jealous of Moshe. And jealousy corrupts. It corrupts logical thinking. It corrupts rational thinking. Certain emotions can be so strong that the most ridiculous things can be thought of and said. Is that where we are at the end of the second book of Torah? The fragility of mankind is such that when you could be so reasonable of judging a person like Moshe Rabbeinu to be above suspicion, there are those that still wanted to judge him and thought he might be stealing. So please be in touch if you've got any other suggestions to understand where it could come from, that Moshe had to make an accounting to demonstrate his innocence to a people that still suspected him. If you were God at the end of book 2, how would you feel about your humanity project? Let's make God in our image, the zenith of creation, and yet they still act in ridiculous ways. What can we do? This is who we are. Shabbat Shalom.